Good afternoon, everyone. So we'll have a discussion on a topic that has been in news lately, especially more so related to the drought-like conditions that we may face because of the El Nino phenomena. We'll discuss about paddy cultivation, methane emissions, and the high amount of water that is used by the paddy fields when we go for transplantation method and what can be the possible alternatives. Listen now. There was a recent report in the Hindu newspaper about how the rice fields in India have become the hotspot for methane gas emissions. The report also says that the methane emitted by the rice fields in India is much more than the total methane that is released by the entire country of Germany in a year. So, when we look at the paddy cultivation, why do paddy fields release methane? Achha, see, when we look at the paddy fields, the most common method of paddy cultivation is transplantation method. This is the most common method that we use in the country or even in other countries of Southeast Asia, transplantation method. So, if suppose this is my field wherein I wish to cultivate paddy, I'm not going to sow the seeds directly in this main field. What I'm going to do is, I am going to prepare a nursery in one corner of the field. So, in one corner of the field, I'll prepare a nursery. A raised bed will be prepared. Achha, this is, let's say, top view. If I look at the front view, I am going to sow the seeds in this nursery first. Achha. Then I am going to plow my field and then I am going to flood my field with water. So if I look at the front view, I'll flood my field with around 10 centimeters of water. In this field, then I will go for puddling. Puddling is basically a technique which is employed to break down the soil. So if we look at the water holding capacity of the soil, it is inversely proportional to grain size. The basic idea is to break down the aggregate so that water stagnates in the field for some time. Okay? Achha, so I have sown the seeds in the nursery. Uske baad I have plowed the field, then I have puddled the field. Then after puddling the field, what I'm going to do is, I am going to transplant the seedlings from the nursery to the main field. And this is done after 25 to 30 days of sowing the seeds. After around 25 to 30 days, when the seedlings attain a height of around 15 centimeters, I'm going to uproot them from the nursery and then I will transplant it in the main field in such a way that 2-3 seedlings are transplanted at one place. And यहाँ पर, if I look at the top view, in definite row and interval fashion, I will transplant the seedlings like this. Okay? 2-3 seedlings at one place. So now the question can be, why are we going for transplantation? Why don't we directly sow the seeds onto the ground? Look, rice is a kharif crop. Paddy in India is grown during the time of monsoon season. It's a water intensive crop. So if suppose I'm cultivating paddy during this particular time of the year, there will be a number of unwanted grasses in my field. That means there would be a number of weeds in my field in between the rice plant. Okay? The unwanted grasses or weeds are there in the field. Achha. Weeds, they would grow faster than rice. If they are not uprooted, if they are not managed, then in that case, they will consume the water which is meant for rice, consume the nutrients which is meant for rice. And then what will happen is my production is going to decline. So what we are going to do is, we will have to uproot these weeds or remove these weeds. But there can be certain techniques of removing the weeds. One is, I will hire the workers. Workers are going to uproot it manually or run a plow here. But workers, one, they are going to take some good amount. So manual uprooting of the weeds is costly. Second, of late what has happened is that even if you're ready to pay the amount, you cannot find the workers easily. Getting the workers for agriculture work is becoming difficult, more so in many areas where we are dependent on migrant workers. So I find the process of manual uprooting a bit costly and difficult. Second is, I can purchase a herbicide. Okay, a herbicide or a weedicide, a chemical which can kill the plants. So I'll spray it over the field and unwanted grasses will be killed here. But herbicide will not discriminate between the weeds or the rice plant until unless it is selective herbicide. So what will happen is, I am going to spray it over the field. The unwanted grasses will be killed, but this will also damage my rice plant as well. So this method is also not very much advisable. So when we are flooding the field with water, okay, when I'm transplanting my seedlings from nursery to the main field, purpose क्या है? That when I am transplanting the seedlings from nursery to the main field, यहाँ पर I have 15 centimeters of paddy plant and the wheat is just growing. So I'm giving basically a head start to my wheat, or head start to my rice plant. Second, what will happen is when I flood the field with water, flooding the field, can I say, is the easiest form of providing irrigation. Second, when I flood the field with water, what I'm also doing is, with this technique, I am also using water as a natural herbicide. The roots of the rice plant, they will develop parenchyma tissue, which would help it in breathing, and rice plant can survive this waterlogged conditions for somewhere around 7, 8, 9 days. So 7, 8 days tak it can survive the waterlogged conditions. But this unwanted grass, which is completely submerged underwater, it won't be able to survive. And then what happens is it is going to die. As it will die, then in that case, this dead organic matter will be decomposed and the bacteria would require some oxygen. But because oxygen is absent, now we will have the anaerobic decomposition that will be done by the bacteria. So microbes, they will go for the decomposition of this organic matter in the absence of oxygen. And anaerobic decomposition produces methane, which is a greenhouse gas, and this greenhouse gas methane has a very high global warming potential, which is much more than what we have with carbon dioxide. So problem is not with rice cultivation per se, problem is with cultivation of rice using transplantation method, one. Second, this is a method not only which releases good amount of methane, this water which is used for its herbicidal properties, let's say, or water which is used for killing the weeds, this gets lost to evaporation. And because of a lot of water loss, this method requires a good amount of irrigation. Moreover, when you go for puddling, puddling itself requires 2-3 rounds of irrigation. So overall 25 to 30 rounds of irrigation are required here. That is why it is argued that in many areas like Punjab, to produce 1 kg of rice, you may need as much as 5,000 liters of water. So in a country wherein we are facing problems of water stress, a country wherein we are moving fast towards water scarcity, this may not be sustainable. Achha. So what is the government doing? Government is promoting the direct seeding of rice. Achha. Suppose I look at this method of direct seeding of rice. If this is the field wherein I am cultivating, where I wish to cultivate paddy, with the help of a seed drill that will be mounted on a tractor, after plowing my field, I am going to drill the seeds directly into this field. Okay? I'll drill the seeds directly into the field. Achha. Now I won't flood the field. I'll just keep the field wet and I will go for alternate wetting and drying. We'll go for alternate wetting and drying. That means I am going to cultivate the crops. I'll sow the seeds and then I will not flood the field, but I will keep the field wet. Once the water that is there in the field is being used by the plant or is lost to evaporation, the soil may develop crack. The rice is generally cultivated in clay loams. So clay has a property that it develops cracks when it is dry. So as it develops cracks, now what happens is that with the development of these cracks, it is an indicator that no, the second round of irrigation is required. So I go for second round of irrigation. Then again allow the field to go dry, then we'll go for third round of irrigation. So when we look at this system, it uses much less amount of water. 15, 16 rounds of irrigation are required here compared to 25 to 30 rounds of irrigation in that method of transplantation. Second, in transplantation method, a lot of labor is required for transplanting from nursery to the main field. In many areas, as I told you, जैसे पंजाब में, हरियाणा में, we are dependent on migrant workers. Labor is becoming costly. So this method of transplantation requires a lot of labor, plus it is very difficult to get the labor. In the direct seeding of rice, I'm using a seed drill. So not only I'm able to save water, but I'm able to save the labor as well. Third, the problem of methane emission that we have because of the waterlogged condition in transplantation, it is not the problem here. Okay? So plant will mature a bit early, no or limited methane emissions will be there, and at the same time I will save labor and water. But यहाँ पर weeds are a major concern. A number of unwanted grasses will be difficult to manage. So what has been done, in order to promote this method, some new varieties of rice or wheat have been developed. Just for example, there is a variety Pusa Basmati 1985. There are some seed varieties that had been developed by Indian Agriculture Research Institute in partnership with some private company like Savannah Seeds. Okay? So they have developed some herbicide tolerant rice varieties. So if I look at this variety, Pusa Basmati 1985, suppose this is the variety that I have cultivated in this field. So I will go for direct seeding of rice, which will save me water, labor, which will not release any methane emissions. But unwanted grasses will come. So if unwanted grasses will come, what I will do is, I am going to purchase a herbicide that is imisthapier. Okay? This herbicide imisthapier I am going to purchase and I will spray it over my field. This Pusa Basmati 1985 has developed tolerance towards this particular herbicide. That means ये वाला herbicide imisthapier will not have any effect on this variety of rice. So what happens is that if I cultivate Pusa Basmati 1985, then in that case, I will have the weeds in the field, but that weed can be easily managed without any kind of labor requirement because this is a variety which is herbicide tolerant. So using this chemical, I'm going to spray it over my field. The weeds will die because they are going to be killed by this herbicide. But nothing will happen to my rice because it has developed tolerance towards this particular class of chemical. This particular year, it assumes even more importance because we have the El Nino year. We have less of rainfall. And with less of rainfall, which is today the case as per most of the predictions, there would be a greater demand to save water. So with less of water available, the area under direct seeding of rice is picking up, wherein it is supported by the development of these varieties like Pusa Basmati 1985, Sava seeds. All of these are herbicide tolerant varieties without any kind of transgenic gene being inserted into it. Thank you very much.